Okay, so let's go ahead and do another demo. This is just going to again reinforce the programming and logic and methods of writing pseudocode programs. And so we'll just do a different program this time. Real quickly, let's review our extended pseudocode syntax. So the whole thing is a class. The class name begins with a capital letter. Any additional words are capitalized. And all of the code goes within the main and return. So again, this corresponds to the start and the stop that we started with. We've just added this container, and we'll put our variable declarations at the beginning before our code in the main area. So one thing I wanted to mention, I used in the last program, I didn't talk about it too much, is we've added simple typing for our variables. So we have three types of variables. The first is a number, and that's any variable that holds a number, and in the pseudocode we won't worry about what kind of number it is. Later on in Java, you'll see that there are many different kinds of numeric variables. The main difference is you have integers, which can't contain a fractional part, and then you have floating point and double variables, which can contain a fraction. And those obviously are usually written with a decimal place, right? So like 1.5 is either a float or a double, whereas 1, 2, 3, 4 are integers. The next kind of variable we have is a string. This is just a sequence of 0 or more characters, and the name of the string will just be the variable name. The string itself will be quoted. It will have a double quote at the beginning and at the end of the character sequence. And I'm not going to use those in today's program. I'm just talking about the types of variables. Notice that string is capitalized. That's because string is actually an object, not a primitive type. And that again is going to reinforce what you'll see in Java. Finally, our last variable type is called Boolean, and this can either be true or false. It's named after George Boole, and we actually have keywords to set those. So I can say Boolean is raining equals true to indicate that it's raining, or I can say Boolean is raining equals false to indicate that it's not raining. And then I can test that variable with if structures, which we're going to learn in week 2 as we get into our pseudocode. So again, I just wanted to introduce those, but we're only using the number as we did in the previous program for the one I'm about to write. Okay, so we want to go ahead and look at our next task. And so the idea here is that we have a 20-ounce bottle of whiskey, maybe I should just say beverage, and the user supplies how many people are drinking. And so we're going to calculate how many ounces each person gets. And if we look at this problem, basically the input is we have to get the number of drinkers, the drinker count, from the user. And then our output will be the ounces per person. That's how much each person gets. And then we have another value that's a constant. It's not going to change. And that's the fact that we have a single 20-ounce bottle of our beverage. Okay, so that we'll use a constant for that. Okay, I think I'm going to try to use Word this time instead of WordPad to see if I get more space on the line, and we'll see how that works. Okay, so I've gone ahead and opened Microsoft Word. Let me go ahead. Yeah, it looks like this is going to take pretty good video here. So I'll just leave it the way it is. I was going to mess with the font. Okay, so I went ahead and copied my pseudocode template just to save a little time. There's not a big deal here. The first thing I'm going to do is what's the name of our class? And so for this program, we're calculating the amount of beverage that a person gets when we share a bottle, a 20-ounce bottle. So we could say beverage share calculator. Okay, so that's just an arbitrary name. Later on when we do Java, you'll see that the class name has to match the file. So this would be beverage share calculator.java would be the file that contains this class. But we don't really have to worry about that with our pseudocode. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and we can get rid of this. So the first thing we're going to do are variable declarations. And again, I'm going to indent my section here. So the first one is a number, and we talked about this in the PowerPoint, right? And of course, I've already forgotten what those are. Let me think a minute. Well, let me just go ahead and look real quickly here. Okay, I just checked. So our input is going to be drinker count, and I'll put a little comment in there to explain what that means. So number, drinker count, number of folks sharing our beverage. Okay, and then our calculation, which we're going to output, is also a number, and that's going to be ounces per person, and that's how many ounces out of a 20-ounce bottle each person gets. Okay? All right, so I think we're good to go. We know that our input is the drinker count and our ounce per person is the output. And we have that one other value too, and this is a constant. So this is also a number, and this is how many ounces there are total. So num total ounces, and we could say total ounces per bottle. I guess we don't need to do that really. We'll put a note in here. Oh, and also since this is a constant, I'll go ahead and set it. So I know that I have 20 ounces initially. Okay, so total ounces equals 20, and then this is just going to be total ounces in the bottle we are sharing. Okay? Okay, so again, we have our three parts. So we'll have our input, our processing, and our output. All right, and I'm going to write more meaningful comments here. So in this case, what am I inputting? The number of folks sharing our beverage. So determine number of drinkers. Okay, so again, when I do output, oops, sorry about that. Trying not to get this too stretched out so it all fit on one screen here. So I'm going to output a prompt, output, oops, sorry, enter the number of folks sharing this beverage. Okay. Then I'll do the input. And what am I inputting? My input variable, which is drinker count. So this is going to be the drinker count. Oops. Drinker count. All right. And then I've got extra space here, so let me just go ahead and get rid of that. And where's my mouse pointer? There it is. Okay. Tom needs to get his prescription checked here. So there we go. All right. And let's change that generic processing to something a little bit better. So this is going to be calculate ounces per, shoot, can't type with a damn today, per person there. Maybe I need some of that whiskey. Sorry about that. I kind of like to joke about drinking and that, but really, you know, drink responsibly. I always joke at the when we get to the weekend with my students that you should always drink just the right amount. For some people, that means none, and for others that means a drink or two. And certainly I don't drink excessively myself. Usually I drink more than one drink at a time. But I do like to joke about it, and I hope that's not offensive to you. I just want to be clear. I'm not giving you the wrong message. Okay, little aside there. So how do we calculate the ounce per person? Well, that's going to be the total ounces divided by the drinker count, right? So ounces per person, which is what we're calculating, equals the total ounces, and of course that's a constant, so we write it like that, which really means it's 20 divided by the number of drinkers, which is our drinker count. So drinker count. Okay, so now that I have ounces per person, now I just have to output it, right? Let's see if I can get this to stretch up a little bit here. Damn it. Probably shouldn't bother with this while I'm recording. It's kind of a pain. There we go. Come on. All right. There we go. That's better. All right. And then, again, I'm just going to change this to display calculated results. Okay. So this will just be an output. This, by the way, is a string, literal. That's what my quotes indicate. So like up here I have one, enter the number of folks sharing this beverage. Here this is going to be, whoops, got a little typo in there, don't we? Output. Ounces of beverage for each person is, end quote, plus, and then my calculation, ounces per person. So what this will show, again, we talked about this, when you communicate with the user, you want to use complete sentences. So it'll say ounces of beverage for each person is, and then it'll show the calculated result. Let's kind of run through the program here. I'm not sure that you're all kind of getting how the logic works. So it kind of simulates writing a regular program. So at this point, I create drinker count as a variable, and it's a place in memory to hold a number value. And I create another variable called ounces per person. I create a constant called total ounces, which is set to 20, and because that's a constant, that'll never change. Okay. Then I prompt the user to enter the number of folks who are sharing this beverage. Who are sharing this beverage. And then I input drinker count. So the user tells me how many people are drinking. Let's say they say 5. So now we store drinker count, we store 5 in our drinker count variable. And then on the next line where I do the calculation, total ounces is 20, and it's divided by what the user told me, which is 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4 ounces per person. And if that is in fact whiskey, that's probably enough to get a good buzz. And then ounces looks like it's misspelled, doesn't it? Then we output ounces of beverage for each person is, and then this, of course, would be replaced by 4, which is the calculation. Now, if I had 10 people drinking, input drinker count would be 10, then it would be 20 ounces divided by 10, which would be ounces per person is 2, and then it would show 2. Okay? So I wasn't sure if I just kind of assumed that people understood what this meant, and this time I actually went through and talked about that. So if you're having a little trouble, hopefully that really helped out. Again, sorry for the drinking jokes. You know, I definitely have compassion for folks that have a problem with alcohol and don't want to foster one on any of you. So take care. I hope these are working for you.